I'm TakiyahLouise. Thanks for clicking through to view my demo and first impressions review of the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation. And I picked up two shades because neither one was an exact match to my skin tone. I picked up 311 Creme Cafe and 312 Cocoa. Now, I picked up 311 Creme Cafe because in the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder, that's what I am, W8 Creme Cafe. But this Creme Cafe ended up being slightly too light and a little bit ashy on me. So that's why I picked up the 312 Cocoa so I can mix them together and hopefully get a warmer shade. Now on my skin, I currently have the Revision Skincare Professional Multi-Protection Broad Spectrum SPF 50, and I wear this every day. It's like a moisturizer and SPF in one that doesn't leave a white cast on brown skin, which is very important. Now this one, it is a bit pricey. This is an 8-ounce bottle and it cost me $180 when I last bought it. Now, they also do have a 1.7 ounce size that goes for around $40 when it's not on sale. And I purchased it from a website called Lovely Skin. And if you sign up for their emails, you'll be notified of their sales. And they usually run anywhere from 20 to 30% off on their beauty products. So it makes the cost even less. Also on my skin, I have the Boscia White Charcoal Mattifying Makeup Setting Spray. And I use this with a cotton round because I broke the pump. So I can't really attest to it being like a finishing spray, but I do like it on my skin to take down a little bit of the shine that's left behind from the SPF that I put on. Now, generally, I wear the Estee Lauder Perfectionist Youth Infusing Makeup in 5 into Amber Honey. But like I said, I had to mix the two of these shades together. So if you look at this, up here is Amber Honey. I just put a dot of that in there to try to shade match the two. And this is what I came up with when I mixed the two of them together. It is a thicker, moussey consistency, so it was a little interesting to mix together. Now I'll do like a quick swatch of each one of them on my face just so you can see the difference. Now this one is 312 Cocoa. And you can see that's a little red on me. And then this one, dry it down a little bit. And then this one is Creme Cafe. And it's a little too light. So I mixed the two of them together. And this is what I came up with. And you can see it kind of blends into my skin, so I'm hoping that it looks better. I'm gonna wipe a little of this away. And I'm gonna be using my damp beauty blender to apply the mixture that I made. I think this is just a little too wet. Let me bring it out. Okay, let me try that again. Now I watched a lot of YouTube videos on this foundation while I was waiting for my Walgreens to get it in. And I learned that you need to work in sections because it will dry on you. Now I'm working this side of my face first just to see what it looks like, and I think it doesn't look too bad, the mixture that I made. It's not an exact match to my skin tone, but it does make it look a little better. Now obviously this foundation has some claims. Claims to be 24-hour wearing. I'm not sure who's wearing foundation for 24 hours, but I'd like to meet them and see what their life is like. The finish on it is supposed to be natural. The coverage is high, and the texture is air-light. So we'll see how it wears throughout the day. Oh, also I got a sample of the Boscia Perfecting White Charcoal Mattifying Treatment Primer from Sephora this weekend, and I applied that to my T-zone and my nose area and cheek area right here, just so that I could see if I can become less oily, because my skin type is combination, but it leans more towards oily, especially in the T-zone, and I have very sensitive skin. So the Boscia brand is just wonderful if you have sensitive skin and you're trying to or damaged skin and you're trying to improve it. I really recommend it, but this is not a skincare video, so I might make one and get into that another time. So let me continue to apply this to my face. And it was kind of tricky for me to mix this together because I first put in the Creme Cafe, then I put in a couple drops of the cocoa, then it was looking too red, and then I put in more Creme Cafe and it was looking too neutral. Really, I have like golden undertones in my skin, and I find it difficult to find foundations that match that, and that's why I really like the Estee Lauder Perfectionist, because I feel like it does it the best. Now, I've got it on my skin, and let me try to blend it into my neck a little better, because it is a little more chocolatey than my skin tones. You can see my neck and then my face, it's a little more chocolatey, a little more red, which I like, but I don't want it to be too drastic of a change. But this is what it looks like when it's on my skin, so it doesn't look too bad, and it feels matte and it looks matte, so I'm not going to set it with a powder like I normally would. So the time right now is 10:37. I will be back to check in later on this evening to show you how it's going to wear, or show you how it's wearing on my skin. Okay, that's it for now. Okay, I'm back now and it is 6:37. I've been wearing this foundation for about 8 hours, and as you can tell, I am very oily pretty much everywhere. I'm oily and splotchy in the T-zone, splotchy around my eyebrows, oily all across my nose and cheeks, splotchy in the corner of my nose here, oily and splotchy around my mouth. I was expecting some oiliness, but not this much, and splotchiness is new to me. I have never had a foundation be splotchy on me before, so that is something that I don't really like. What I'm going to do to try to combat some of the oiliness is take this Boscia blotting linen and see what that can do for my face, because right now I feel like my face is a little bit plasticky looking, and I definitely don't like that look. So let me go ahead and blot. And already I can tell that just by blotting, it's lifting up some of the foundation as I take it away, as it takes away the oil. So that's not very good. And I see a really big splotch right here on my forehead. And just look at this paper, it's just getting covered with foundation. And my hand feels really oily too. So that was a little bit better looking. Again, I still see all the splotchiness there, and a little bit more lifting of product from my face. What I'm going to try to do now to save it is take this L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder. This is in W8 Creme Cafe. I'm going to go ahead and just apply this to see if that can take away some of the residual shine that's left behind from blotting and see how that interacts with this powder. I didn't set the foundation earlier because it seemed to be quite matte. So let's just test and see how it looks with a little bit of powder to see if I can cover up some of that splotchiness or see what happens. Now, as to the claims for this foundation, it says that it's 24 hours. I don't see how that's true for anyone. It kind of fell apart on me in 8 hours. It also says that it has a natural finish. I'll give it that. It says that it is high coverage. I will give it that. And I do have like 3 moles on my chin and it completely covered them. I can see them very faintly, but they are dark black and they're usually very prominent even when I wear my other foundations. And then the texture is airlight, so that's true because it is like a light moussey texture. So when I put the powder on top, it does cover up some of the splotchiness, but I don't know. It covers up the splotchiness that I had in the forehead, but then it just makes it look splotchy and dry around my eyebrow. And on my lip, I can still see remnants of the splotchiness from earlier, and especially over here under my lips. So I don't like that. Now, L'Oreal could have done a better job with this foundation, especially in shade range, because this one is 311 Creme Cafe, and then it jumps all the way over to 312 Cream Cocoa. And the only way that you can tell what the shade is by looking way down here at this tiny sliver under this brown right here. This brown here is not indicative of the color in the tube, and I think that is a problem that L'Oreal should have seen coming, because buying makeup is such a visual experience. Why would you want to put color on a tube that is not indicative of the color inside of it? I think it's just like waste for people buying it and getting the wrong shade, and a bad move for them to do on their part. Now, I'm still looking at this foundation to see what I think of it. I did mix both of those colors together, and I think the color that I came up with wore pretty well on my face. I just don't know if I can get over that oiliness and the splotchiness especially. So something that I'll have to think about and see what's next for me. But I don't know. Have you tried the L'Oreal Total Cover Foundation? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I just don't know. I feel like I had to do some recovery on it. And I feel like if I was working on this in the middle of the day, that it would just appear splotchy. If it's gonna be splotchy, I don't really want to deal with it. So this one might be going back to the store for me. I'll have to think on it. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Anything you do is greatly appreciated. And when you subscribe, please click that notification bell so you know each time that I post a video. And also, I wanted to say that I am thankful for all of my subscribers. Just wanted to say thank you for subscribing to my channel, and I really appreciate you. And that's it for now. Until the next video, take care. Okay, I just wanted to come back really quick to say that I do like the L'Oreal Infallible lip paints. This one is in 312 Nude Star. I'm wearing it on my lips right now, and I like that it gives a nice flush of pink. It's a non-sticky, a non-slippery lip color. It doesn't claim to be long wearing, so you will need to reapply it after a few hours, and especially after eating and drinking. It does have a doe foot applicator with a little notch in it, so it really hugs your lips when you apply it, and it just feels really nice on the lips, so I definitely like it and recommend it. Okay, that's it for now. Okay, so it's a few days later, and I really wanted to see if I could try to make this foundation work for me before I decided to take it back. I applied it the exact same way as I did before, and so far right now, when I look at my skin, I just feel a little bit dry. I do see that it clings to little dry patches on my skin that I didn't know that I had. And again, it's still kind of splotchy around my eyebrow area. And it seems to just kind of highlight any little bump or little cling of dry skin that I have. So I'm not really loving that. But I'm gonna wear this all day. It currently is 12:27, so I will be doing check-ins with you in the middle of the day, and then I'll come back in the evening and show you how it's worn after that. Okay, so the time is currently 2:46, so it's a little over 2 hours since the last time that you saw me. When I had lunch, a little bit of food dribbled down my chin and caused the makeup to pool in this area, and my first reaction was to fix it rather than taking a picture. So I did blot, and when I did, the makeup completely lifted off my chin, and you can see that my moles are a little more pronounced, whereas before they were a little bit covered. I am going to go ahead and blot with the Boscia blotting linens because I am starting to get oily in the T-zone. So I'm just going to quickly blot these areas. And I just want to see if I continue to get oily or if the makeup is going to continue to lift off of my skin. And I do see quite a bit of oil and makeup lifting. And this is the blotting linen, so it's not as oily as last time because I did catch the oils a little bit earlier, but I still do see patchiness around my nose and around my eyebrow. There's some lifting of the makeup around my nose on this side, and where the food dribbled on my chin, it's patchy from the leftover makeup that didn't wear away. So I'm going to continue to wear this for a couple more hours, and then I'm going to do another check-in, and then I'll give my final thoughts. Okay, so it's 9:07, and I am back for my final check-in for the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation. I've been wearing this foundation for about 8.5 hours, and I zoomed my camera in so you can hopefully see up close what's going on with my skin. Now, obviously I am oily, but I'm also feeling dry and slightly itchy in my cheek area, and I'm hoping that doesn't mean that I'm about to get a breakout, because that would be very bad for me. And I'm actually going to blot one final time while I give my final thoughts on the product. And basically, I'm not a fan of the product, starting with the fact that I had to buy two to mix together to get a shade that was close to my skin tone, and doing so wasn't exactly the easiest because of the soft, moussey consistency that the product has. I feel like they could have done it in the lab and saved me the trouble of having to buy two, and I could have bought one like everyone else. The product just kind of sits on my face and sinks into my pores, any little dots that I have on my face, and like it just magnifies everything, and I'm not a fan of that. This is just something that I'm gonna have to take back to the store because I can't get over how patchy that it looks. Even with just blotting a little bit, it just lifts the product straight off my face. So I'm definitely gonna be taking this back to the store to get my money back. I guess it's gonna be better luck next time in terms of finding a foundation from L'Oreal. Let me know if you've tried this product and what your thoughts are. Just leave a comment below. And yeah, that's it for now. Until the next video, take care.